Would you like to know what my favourite type of art is? Martial art! I'm talking Jackie Chan. I'm talking Donnie Yen. I'm talking Tony Ya. I'm talking the uncle guy from Jackie Chan Adventures. For me, it doesn't matter about the plot in any of these films. It matters about being badass. Just one person fighting overwhelming odds, destroying anyone who gets in their way, using nothing but hand-to-hand combat. And that's why I want to talk to you today about a little game called Sifu. This is one of the most enjoyable games I've played in some time. It encapsulates everything good in a martial arts film and puts you in the centre of the action. And it's one of the few games I've found myself playing as an adult man where I've been overwhelmed with the urge to go whilst I'm playing. Once you get to grips with the combat, you'll find that it's fluid. It feels fantastic. The controls of the game are responsive and there's a real sense of progression throughout. It is incredibly satisfying to return to places you've been and absolutely wipe the floor with a room full of opponents that you previously struggled with. You start the game as a male called Yang who infiltrates a dojo to interrupt a game of strip poker before punching an old man in the balls and then killing a child. But guess what? You're not dead because you've got a little amulet that stops you from dying. But each time you die, you get older. And that's the game. You're on a path of vengeance to kill the man responsible for killing your father. So your character sets out on a path of vengeance where you train for 8 years. Your targets: the botanist, Kuroki the artist, Jin Feng, some guy called Sean, and finally Yang. The game then briefly introduces you to the core mechanics.
You're the future of law enforcement.
What's going on?
You've been chosen, John. You are the future of law enforcement.
You put me in a cardboard box.
Yes. It's fantastic, isn't it?
The game introduces you to its core concepts slowly and makes you feel comfortable within the environment. It's only after a matter of time, when the enemies start to get more challenging and more difficult, the deaths start ramping up, that you realise that dying has some serious consequences. And that's the game. If you end up above the age of 70, you're done. It's game over. Which I suppose makes sense, because it's difficult to throw a punch when you're trying to stop uncontrolled turds falling out of your ancient butthole. This game can be difficult, but it was never so difficult I got frustrated. Generally, each time I died, it was because I had made a mistake or I needed to change or develop the way I was fighting an opponent. It was very rare that I felt like something was unfair or that an opponent was just too good. It was because I needed to practice and learn what they were doing. Some of my favourite games of all time have that learning curve of developing yourself or finding an opponent you think is impossible and slowly working out how to beat them, and that is certainly this game. I mean, if you can't beat an opponent, a wise man once said,
Cobra Kai. Say it, Cobra Kai.
Never dies.
Bet your ass.
And I don't see how that's relevant, but this is a good game and you should play it. Look at some of the environments in this game. They are absolutely stunning, and they are some of the best environments I've experienced within a game of this genre. Ranging from nightclubs to dirty, grimy back streets and drug dealing buildings. The museum area in particular was absolutely gorgeous. I found myself genuinely looking through the level and just taking in the environments. I felt like I was in a movie, and that's exactly what you want from this kind of game. My only complaint with this game in general is that it's just too short. There's not enough. In total, there are only 5 levels, which is really disappointing because I found myself wanting to play through more challenges. I suppose that's a credit to the game in that the system and the combat was so fluid that when I got to grips with it, I was just disappointed that I couldn't utilize my newfound martial arts talents on some new bosses or some new content. But really, it's a minor gripe in an otherwise excellent game. I'd really recommend it, and I suppose they always say you should always leave your audience wanting more.